and this is Toby, and welcome to a Tobyknits Podcast, episode 181. If you're new, go grab a cup of tea. You're going to need it. You might need a biscuit. I'll probably let you know halfway through if I think you might need to stop and go get a biscuit. But today we're talking about knitting and crochet. I'm originally from England, from Liverpool, and this is my Canadian accent because my husband has a really difficult time with it. I've only been married to him 30-something odd years, and he still can't figure it out half the time. And I have a couple of friends, well, I have more than a couple of friends, but some of my friends who I've been hanging around with a lot lately, who are Canadian, and I will occasionally say a word completely forgetting it's an English word, a British word, and not a Canadian word, because it's the first thought that comes out my head when I say something. And they all kind of look at me like, do you mean... And then they say the Canadian version. And I'm like, oh yeah, that. It's just kind of funny. I've literally been here 41 years. I came in 1983. So yeah, 41 years ago. It'd be 42 years in May. And there are still words that I use that are so typically British. And I don't know why suddenly I say that word. When maybe the week before I said the Canadian version. I don't know. It's kind of weird. But anyway, love my Liverpool Football Club. Oh my gosh. I have a giant poster on the wall, a giant calendar that my brother gave me for Christmas. And so yes, and I'm very excited. I just found a new podcaster. Her name is Catkin and Lily. She does Floss Tube, and she has football stitches where she stitches on the day that she's watching Liverpool Football Club. Like, I thought that was amazing. I love that idea. Of course, you know me. I watch all the games anyway, so, and I either knit or cross stitch or crochet. It doesn't matter. It's got to be a craft. But anyway, so I got a lot to tell you. Let's start with finished objects, because I've got five. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so I've been doing what I call the Gideon Method. Well, it is the Gideon Method, but I've just changed it a little bit slightly. So what the Gideon Method is, if you don't know, is you pick 6 projects and you work on them, each one at a time, for either 12 hours, I think is the norm. I personally have cut it to 6. So I work 6 hours on project number 1. If it's finished, great. If it's not finished, it goes to the bottom. Project number 2 comes up, and I work on that for 6 hours. 6 hours for me, roughly, is 3 days or nights, because I typically knit or crochet for about 2 hours a night when I'm watching telly. Sometimes it's a bit more, depending on how early we've settled in to watch. Or sometimes it's when I'm watching football, so that it might get an extra couple of hours that day. So that's how it works. And it's supposed to help you get down your whips. And it's definitely working, because I had 1, 2, 3 whips left over from Advent that I needed to finish, and they're all done. And then I have a sock that I'm making every month, got them finished, and a dishcloth that I'm doing every month, got that finished. So I'm really pleased with how it's working for me. It doesn't work for everybody, but it's really working for me, because I like allocating days or hours to a certain project and seeing how far I get with it. That's just me. So let's show you what I got finished, and in no particular order. Oh, first off, I'll show you what my 6 projects were for January. It was my gnome. I actually started the gnome New Year's Eve, the 1st of January-ish. And my cowl, that was started December 24th. That was my New Year's Eve cast on, Christmas Eve cast on. The Toft that I was doing all through December. And then the mitts I was doing all through December, which were from the Bakery Bears Advent. And the temperature blanket and a baby blanket that I had cast on. So those were my 6 projects that I had wanted to work on. So here are the mitts. I love these. Sorry, I had a little cough then, so I did that little, I love these. These are from Kay Jones of the Bakery Bears, and these are her Advent that they do every year, and I love it immensely. Aren't they lovely? So this was called the Country Cottage Christmas Country Christmas mitts. I'll put the name here. And so we started these, I think the 1st or 2nd of December. You used your own yarn and your needles and stuff. And this was part of her Patreon for Christmas. And it's one of my favorites to watch over the Christmas period. So every other day, her and her husband, Dan, either do something together or on their own. So one day it's Kay, the next day it's Dan. Sometimes it's both of them. And this year they rented a cottage and they did it all from this cottage. And they took your walks around the cottage and they did old-fashioned Christmas decorations for the tree, like a tin star, which then appears in her glove mitt pattern. I keep calling them gloves, they're mitts. And anyway, so I decided I was going to do it. And there's a matching hat. I have not done the hat yet because it's too cold here to wear fingering weight just as a hat. And she's in the process of doing another hat pattern that uses either DK or fingering weight held double. So I want to do the matching hat for it with that pattern. So I'm just waiting. But anyway, these are the mitts and I absolutely love them. I did hand dye this yarn. This yarn is a Botanical Yarns from the UK that I got from my lovely friend Linda from the Disley Sisters when I was over in May. And so these are a popcorn stitch, and then this is duplicate stitch for the star. And I really enjoyed doing it immensely. So I had made one, and Tristan, my grandson, saw it and decided he wanted a pair. So I had to go looking for a pair of children's fingerless mitts, which I found a free pattern for. And so I made him a pair, which he loves. And of course, now Evie wants a pair, his sister. But in pink, of course, in pink. So anyway, these I got finished and I love them. So this was the first item that got finished since last time you saw me, which was 2 weeks ago. Then I was also working on a gnome and finished my gnome. So as you know, this was the little gnome that was from the Advent that I got, the Advent yarn from Ginger Snap that. And they're a Canadian dyer. And because I bought the 12-day gnome along, we got a free pattern from Sarah Shira, is that her last name? Imagine Landscapes. And I absolutely adore this little gnome. It came with 2 gnomes in the pattern, this one and then Mr. Knightley. So this is Snow-Man, and then there was Mr. Knightley. And in the story that we also got with this little gnome along was that they had no snow at Christmas in Gnomeland, Grimblewood. And Mr. Knightley was very worried about what was going to happen. And he went to bed that night and he woke up and he turned into a snowman. So there's also Mr. Knightley and the snowman. I might do Mr. Knightley later on in the year, but I love this snowman. Now, it did come with embroidery on it here of snowflakes, but I really didn't want that. I wanted a traditional snowman with buttons. So I just put little buttons on the front. So isn't he the cutest? And this was the yarn that I got in the kit, in the in the Advent. So he was finished. I had pretty much got him almost done, I think, last time I was chatting to you, other than sewing him together and possibly making the little thing there. But anyway, so he's finished. And I've got another one I want to cast on. Tell you about that later. Toft. As you know, I had done my little boy and my little girl. These were finished. And I enjoyed immensely doing these. It was fun to do a little something each day and not know what you were actually making. Some things became obvious, but others you had no idea. For example, and this is what I finished in the last 2 weeks, this. And like when we actually did this, the whole bottom, I had no idea what we were making. I certainly did not think it was going to be a swan or a duck or whatever you want to call this. But isn't it lovely? It's got all these beautiful pearls on it. It was very interesting working with pearls or beads on yarn. I've done that in cross stitch, but maybe once before I've done it in a scarf or a shawl, but this was definitely interesting, especially this where they're all so close together like that and around its nose. Look at the size of the nose. Anyway, so this I got finished. I had to sew it all together and add these here. Now there should be 2 rows, but I actually was okay with just one. I thought it still looked nice enough like that. And of course I had to put his eyes in. So these little guys are supposed to sail away if you follow the original story of Hansel and Gretel, because this is who this is. They're supposed to have, oh, dropped his bag, sailed away on the back of this duck. But anyway, so that's my 3rd finish. Woo! For the month of January. That was the little bag that fell off. I didn't do the bone. There was some bone that you had to make that was what Hansel put through the cage so that the witch would think he hadn't put on any fat yet to fatten him up to cook him. So I didn't make the bone because I couldn't be bothered at that point. So the other thing I finished that was on my 6 items was my socks. So I am also taking part in the Bakery Bears are doing a sock stash with their Patreons for 2025. I think she did it last year too. And we just put our socks that we've done that month into Ravelry. So these are just a plain vanilla sock. The yarn is Static and the colorway is Cabot Cove. So I had actually started these, gosh, when did I start them? In September. And put them down and stopped working on them because other stuff got in the way. It was Advent. I think I fell out of love with sock knitting for a bit. But then I picked them up again and finished them and did the second one. So yeah, these are my lovely socks. And oh, I'm also taking part in the sock along with Soxy Nana Alice and Diane from My Pink Bathtub. So these are my January entry. And they're really nice. I really, really love them. They turned out nice. Just a plain vanilla sock. And Alice actually did a slideshow. I just watched it yesterday of all the socks that had been entered. And then she does a drawer, and I saw my friend Pam's socks and I saw MJ's socks. And yeah, it was just so fun to, you know, when you know people that are all part of the same thing. So that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed watching them. And yeah, so yeah, anyway, so that was the January socks. And the other thing I finished was my January dishcloth. So here it is. And how this has worked, this is a temperature dishcloth that I'm doing each month with, oh my gosh, I forget the actual lady's name, but she's from the Kitchen Sink Shop, another Canadian. And it's just suds cotton, and we had picked out a list of temperatures, and again I'm using feels like, and they're split up into like groups of 5, like so 0 to -5, -6 to -11, all that kind of stuff, and that's how they go. And so the white is the coldest, that's over -20 for me. The dark gray, then the light gray would be next. So that's, oh wait, I think I do have it, hang on. Let me just get it out of the bag and show you. Because I think, here it is. So here are my things. So -20 and above is the white, and then the light gray, and then we go to dark gray. It's starting to warm up. We've got a dark blue, a light blue, and a very dark blue. I probably should have switched them around a bit, but I did it ages ago and forgot. And then these will be the warmer colors for in the summertime. But so these are the colors. So we're using all these same colors, and it when you look at it, you can see that in January we've had a couple of very cold days, and then the gray, the dark gray and the blue, so that would be between -14 and -5. Those have been typically our days in January. So it's a very super easy pattern. You can pick up the pattern on Ravelry, and every month she gives you a new sheet that you can print out where you can make a note of your temperatures in case you can't knit it that day. These temperatures I gathered around 2 o'clock each day. Now I would forget some days to check, and it wouldn't be till like 5 o'clock, and I was like, oh my God, what was the temperature at 2 o'clock? So sometimes I had to do a little bit of investigating to find out what the temperature was. So for February, I'm going to do it based on 10 o'clock in the morning because I'm a little bit more wherewithal then, you know. So those are my finished objects. Super exciting. There were 2 objects on my list of 6 that I did not get finished. So those now will get moved up. So here is my list for February. First one on there is my socks. I desperately wanted to start these socks first for the month. So they're first on the list. And then the baby blanket, which I'm going to show you, and the cowl. So these 2 were items that were not finished in the month of January. And then all the rest are going to be new cast-ons, which I will tell you about now. So let me first of all show you. I'll go in the order. Socks. I cast these on yesterday. I was so excited. As you know, I've been pulling a color each month at the beginning of the month, or even towards the end of the last month, to see what my socks are going to be for the next month. So I had got, and I couldn't remember where I got these. I can't remember the name of the dyer. Isn't that awful? And there's no tag with it. But it came with 2 minis. And this is the yarn color, all wound up now. And when I saw this in the packet, to me this looked more red, more brown. But it's not now until it's wound and I've started using it. It's purple. But for some reason, I thought it was brown because probably there are brown flecks in it and also the red flecks in it. So I pulled this out and thought, okay, what sock am I going to make with that? And then, as I told you, I'm in Patreon for the Bakery Bears, and I'm going to leave a link below where you can go and sign up and become a Patreon with them. I think it costs me about $9-10 a month Canadian. And let me tell you, if you were to buy this, and you cannot buy this pattern unless you're a Patreon member and you get it free. But if it was available for sale, it would have been probably $10 or more anyway. So by joining for $10 a month, I'm getting a whole pile of patterns for free. This is one of them. And it's a great community. We have a lot of fun. They have a live once a month where you can chit chat with them. And there's tutorials. There's a lot of history and walk things that Dan does. There's cooking shows. It's all part of your $10 a month. Why wouldn't you? Because you cannot get their Patreon only patterns any other time anywhere else. But anyway, that's enough about that. Kay is doing a thing that she calls Valinvent. So every day in the month of February, from the 1st of February to the 14th, she comes on and does a little video every day. And it's usually a pattern for us. It's usually a new design she's come up with. And this time it's a pair of socks, and they're called Love Story. So these particular socks use a main skein and 2 minis. Now, so I thought, I'm doing it. I'm doing this sock with this yarn. Perfect. It's a perfect fit. It's not pretty pinks or reds, but I love purple and there's red in it. So I figured I would use the red for the heel and the brown for the toe. And I have already started them. And as you know, this year with each of my socks that I'm doing it a different method. Let me say maybe each month to find out my favorite way. So last month I used DPNs and I used 2.25 on my favorite Knit Pro DPNs. So just 6 inches, the little, I can hold them. Doesn't hurt my thumb because I have arthritis in my thumb, in this thumb. The other thumb's okay, but this one is worse. And I find the 6-inch easier to hold, and I love the metal because it glides easier. So for this one, this sock, this one, I'm going to do 2 at a time on the same needle. I've done this once before, and I did it 2 years ago for an Advent sock from Cozy Knitter. Cool. So I think that's what she is, and where she designs a self-striping that you knit each day in December. And so I did it that way then, because obviously I wanted the pair at the end of the year instead of having to do, and I do have terrible second sock syndrome. So I thought this would be fun. Now, I couldn't remember how you do it. I knew the gist of it, but I've forgotten. So I watched Kay Litton from Crazy Sock Lady. She has some fabulous tutorials on knitting and different needles and all the rest of it. So I will link below the video that I watched in order to get started on this. And here is my start. Oh. So basically, I wound up my yarn into two 50-gram balls. And you do the first one, you make the first cuff on your magic loop, and then you slip it off onto two DPNs just to hold this. Then you make your second one, and when you finish the second one, you slide it down, but not off, obviously, and then you put these back on with your DPNs. And now you're all set to go and start knitting. And you knit with one. So you got to make sure you got the balls in the right area in your bag. So, and that's why I wanted to use this bag, which is a Disley Sisters bag, because it's open, so I can easily, and it's got plenty of room in there for all the balls of yarn and the two colors. So I have them set up in the bag, and then you knit across the front of this one, leave the yarn, pick this yarn up and knit the next one, turn and carry on. So there is the start of my love story socks. And I think this, and sock knitting is also car knitting for me. And yesterday we were out in the car quite a bit because we had Tristan and Evie on Friday night for sleepover. That was super fun. Tristan and I have this new game. He's 4.5 and has discovered, because he's at school now, potty words. I just say that. And every now and again, he'd throw a potty word into the conversation. Not a swear word. I'm not talking about swear words. You know, it would be poo-poop or stuff like that. And I said to him, I looked at him and I said, Tristan, and Tristan does not like me kissing him right now or giving him Nana hugs. He's too big for that. So, because he's going to school, he's too big for kisses and Nana hugs now. So I said to him, Tristan, if you keep using those words, Nana will have to give you 100 kisses. So of course, the rest of the evening, there were many of those little words coming out, and there was very much lots of Nana kisses and hugs. And he laughed and laughed and laughed. And I said to my husband, this is the best invention ever, this one. So I finally get to kiss him. But anyway, so it was a lot of fun Friday night. They were up rather early Saturday morning, 6:30. And I'm not used to getting up that early. Oh, dear God. And then we had to go to gymnastics. Evie has gymnastics at 8:30. Well, of course, she's only 2 and a bit. So she has to have an adult with her. So guess who? I had to do gymnastics with her. Oh, my goodness. I could hardly move after 45 minutes of that. Let me tell you. It was fun, though. And then we went and had breakfast with their mom and dad because it was their mom's birthday. So we went and had a lovely breakfast with them all. And then they took the kids home and we came home for a nap. And I started my socks. So I was super excited. I got one of the cuffs done and onto the DPNs. And then the second cuff cast on. And then we had to then go back into Ottawa that night for a birthday dinner with Caroline and Andrew, the kids, and Caroline's parents. So I got some sock knitting on the way in. So I would imagine I've already put at least 2 hours into this because I don't count the car knitting. So I've got 4 more hours to work on these over the next day or two and get a good way into the pattern. So that was first because I just wanted to start that on the 1st of February. Now come the 2 items that I didn't get finished in January, which I'm really hoping to get finished this month. Well, maybe not one of them, but this one for sure. This is the baby blanket I am doing for Megan, my daughter-in-law in Nova Scotia, for her brother who just had a baby. This is half of it. It is this wide, and it is, I'll put that down so you can hear me. This is 39 inches wide, and it needs to be 31 inches tall. So here's where there's my thing. So I'm here, and I've only got this little bit left of this color, which is what the color I started with. So what I'm going to do, I should have enough to do 4 more rounds, 4 more rows, I hope, of the peach color. Then what I think I'm going to do is go back to the white, and tell me if any of you have ever done this. I'm going to do 6 rows of the white at the top, but then on my cast on, can I add 6 rows here? So all you crocheters, is that possible? Now this particular stitch, and this is a pattern from Daisy Creations, I think she's called. Again, I'll put the name here because I can't remember. And it's a free pattern. You can get the pattern without the ads, but if you just go to her blog, she writes the pattern up on the blog with all the other ads and stuff. And this is a in the back loop. So it looks like a rib. And funnily enough, I just watched Emily this morning of Emily Makes, and she's doing a crochet cardigan. And I feel like the bottom, Emily, if I'm wrong, let me know. But I feel like the ribbing of the bottom of this crochet cardigan is this. So it's in the back loop, and it gives it an effect of a rib. I don't know if you can see that. So it's very pretty, but can I pick up from a cast on start? And I was thinking if I did it and went into the back of the, where's the front? Here. I feel like because it is in the back loop, would I go in the front loop? I'm going to have to play with it. But I'm almost there. I've got 10 inches to go, and 10 inches for me is about 3 of these colors. So if I finish this off and do white at either end, I feel like that'll be big enough, because it's only a pram blanket, stroller blanket. It's not for her bed or anything. I mean, she could put it on the bed, I suppose, but it's really a stroller blanket. So that will be after my 6 hours of socks. I'll have 6 hours of that, and I'm pretty sure I'll get that finished, because I need it finished for February 14th, because I'm going to Nova Scotia then, and I will be able to gift it to the baby and the baby's mom and the baby's dad. The next thing that I was working on and didn't get finished is my cowl. This was one that I started Christmas Eve. It was my Christmas Eve cast on, and it is using the minis that I got over Christmas for Frostbites, and which is Ellie Jones of Craft House Magic. It's all the minis, and the cowl is called the Frostbites cowl. Snowflake cowl. One of them cows, again, on the bottom here. And this is where I cast on, and this is just beautiful. It's just plain, and all the colors are just mingling into each other. I've just started my 4th color, and yeah, the snowflake cowl. That's what it's called. And then there are going to be white baubles, which represents snowflakes in a pattern of a snowflake. So those will be sort of coming up. But isn't it pretty? I love the colors of this yarn. So, and that is as far as I had got last month. I never managed to keep getting back to it in rotation. I think I maybe did it twice. So this has now moved up and is number 3 in the spot. So if I spend 2 more days on my socks, then I should be able to get to the blanket next Friday and get the blanket finished. And then maybe next weekend I can get back to the cowl. Let's just see if that works. The next thing I want to do is one moment, please. Okay, sorry. I had to grab this bag. So this is a bag I got last weekend, and it's a huge bag. And the reason is because there's also tons of yarn in here, because I want to start making the turtle memory game, which is a crochet project. Here's a picture for my grandchildren in Nova Scotia. This probably will not get finished. I don't even know if it'll get started before I leave. And I don't even know if I'll take it with me. It's hard to tell. We'll see. But I had to go get more yarn. I had originally had this green, but I don't think that's enough to make Mama Turtle and all the baby turtles. So I went and picked up this ball of green, which is called Moose. So this is the color, and it's a Bernay Premium. It's just acrylic, and I think this color will go with it for the turtles. And then I've got this green, a gold, a red. Oh, that's that same pink. Never mind everything I just said about the other thing. This'll be enough to finish it. Okay, scratch everything I just said about picking up and using white on the other end. I'm putting that over there. Or is that the same color? Do you know what? I think that's a peach color, and that's pink. Let's just check that out. Is it the same color? No. Is it? No, I think that's peach. Okay, scratch that again too. We're going back to the original with the white. And anyway, so now I have this, and these will all be the different bottom colors of the turtle. And I might need another one, but I've got loads of regular yarn I might be able to use, I think. But this is going to be the turtle. So that's going to be item number 4 on my list. Yes. Then item number 5. I can't find the book. Oh, it's in the living room. Never mind. Is I want to do another gnome, because I'd like to try and do a gnome each month too. Yes, I think that will be fun. And my gnome that I want to make is from the book that I just got for Christmas off my son Andrew. And it is the Gnomes of Grimblewood book. And totally forgot the name of the gnome I want to make. So I'll put it here because I can't remember. And a picture of it here. And these are the colors that I'm going to make. This was one of the yarns I got over Christmas in the Advent from Ginger Snap Bat. And then obviously it'll just have white with it. And I'm doing it obviously in fingering weight. So that is going to be a cast on after the turtles. And finally, I told you you'd need a biscuit, didn't I? I should have told you a bit earlier about the biscuit. And finally, my number 6 item is I was going to make the hat to go with these, but I'm waiting for Kay to come out with the heavier weight one using 2 strands. because I'm not sure how many stitches to cast on and all the decreases. So I need her to do that. And when that's done, I'll do that later. But in the meantime, Bob has asked me for a hat because he was whining and complaining. So I've got this yarn that one of the girls at Knit Club gave me last week or the week before. From her stash, she didn't want it. And I thought this would make a nice musselburgh hat for Bob. And you all know how much I love the musselburghs. I've made 3 of them already. So I figured I would wind this up and cast this on for Bob and make him a musselburgh. So those are my 6 projects that will be for this month. And on top of that, we still have the dishcloth. So I have cast on for February. And this is the 2 days, yesterday and today. Awfully darn cold, can I just say? I didn't even take Toby out for a walk this morning. I was going to, but it was minus 26 with the wind chill factor. And his little feet, he doesn't have booties, and his little feet, like he probably would have got to the end of the driveway and then done the whole 3-legged hop. So I thought it's not even worth it. I'll just let him in the backyard. He can do all his business out there today and then rush back in. Plus then I don't have to get all dressed up and put all kinds of hats and gloves and mitts and all kinds of stuff on. Anyway, so this is my January started, day 1, day 2. And yeah, so that's about it. What else have I got to tell you? Next time I come to you, I'll actually be in Nova Scotia in 2 weeks. So that'll be kind of fun. You might get to see the lovely Leo and the sweet Sunny. But yeah, so that, I find doing it every 2 weeks. I have a lot to show you, but the video is long. It's longer than half an hour. So please forgive me for that. It's a long one. Anyway, I'm going to go put all this stuff here away. I really have a little hankering to try and cast on one of the tiny turtles, just to see how long they'll take and how much yarn, even though they're not on the list to start until later. My rules. I'm doing it. Okay. I will let you go, and I'll see you on Wednesday for a floss tube. But if you're just into the knitting and the crochet, I'll see you in 2 weeks. All right, bye.